They say Singapore is a city of perfect order and modern marvels. But beneath the gleaming skyscrapers and manicured gardens lies a chilling history, a history soaked in war, tragedy, and unexplained terror. We are venturing into the heart of the darkness, from the phantom whispers of the old police academy to the cursed bends of Devil's Road. This isn't just history, it's an echo. Prepare yourself. This is the definitive countdown of Singapore's top 10 most haunted places. If you haven't seen our Part 1 video, find the link in the description. 10. Tenggar Air Base surroundings. Our countdown begins on the outskirts of one of Singapore's major military installations, Tanggar Air Base surroundings. Before it became a heavily guarded military zone, the area was a typical remote landscape, steeped in the quiet history of a pre-war colonial past. The tranquility was shattered by World War II. After the fall of Singapore in 1942, this entire region became a strategic point for both the British and the occupying Japanese forces. The air base and its vicinity are built on land that has witnessed intense conflict and the subsequent tragedies of military life. Today, this history has manifested in chilling, persistent encounters reported by servicemen, particularly national servicemen. The barracks and abandoned sections are plagued by the restless spirits of war. Servicemen speak of being jolted awake by a freaking loud bang on the door at 2 a.m., only to find the door ajar, and the heavy spring mechanism that should have slammed it shut inexplicably still. The most persistent legend is that of Xiao Hong, or Little Red. She is said to be the ghost of a young girl who died near the water tower, often spotted lurking around in a red dress. Other accounts tell of footsteps walking the length of a room and out the door, or the unnerving sight of a woman in white, smiling from a mango tree outside a window, just before the witness blacks out. These incidents suggest an active, perhaps malicious, haunting, forever trapped in the cycle of military duty and the land's sorrowful past. 9. Old Upper Thomson Road, Devil's Bend. Next, we take a terrifying detour down Old Upper Thomson Road, specifically the infamous Devil's Bend. From the 1960s to the 1970s, this winding, challenging stretch was part of the Singapore Grand Prix circuit. Before its spectral reputation, it was a testing ground for speed and skill, drawing race enthusiasts from all over. The V-shaped turn known as Devil's Bend was the circuit's most treacherous corner. Its history turned deadly quickly. Over the 11 years the Grand Prix ran, a shocking number of drivers lost their lives right on that bend. The high death toll earned the area its ominous nickname and sealed its haunted fate. The hauntings here are tied directly to the adrenaline and sudden tragedy of the past. Drivers and thrill-seekers today report the phantom roar of racing engines and the sensation of unseen hands on the steering wheel, desperately trying to yank the car off course. The most famous spirit, however, is not a racer. It's the unsettling apparition of a young woman dressed in white. The chilling accounts come from taxi drivers who have picked her up late at night, often near the reservoir. After being dropped off, she would disappear, leaving behind a horrifying payment: hell money, paper notes burned as offerings for the deceased. The road's history of fatal accidents, surrounded by the yin energy of dense forest and water, makes it a nexus for the tormented souls of those who met their sudden violent end. 8. Sentosa Island. Our 8th stop is the beautiful resort island of Sentosa, formerly known by the far more chilling name Pulau Belakang Mati, which translates to Island of Death Behind. In the 1800s, it was a critical British coastal defence, home to forts like Fort Siloso and the Imbiah Battery, guarding the harbour. Before becoming a tourist paradise, the island was scarred by centuries of piracy, disease and military might. The island truly became a place of dread during the Japanese occupation in World War II. Fort Siloso was notoriously used as an execution ground for Allied soldiers and suspected spies. This bloody transformation gave rise to the chilling legend of the Silenced Ones, the spirits of those who died without justice within its walls. Visitors and staff on the island frequently report intense, inexplicable phenomena, especially in the dark, cavernous spaces of Fort Siloso. Accounts include ghostly whispers in a language no one understands, and the chilling feeling of an unseen presence following them in the old barracks. One unnerving encounter involved a visitor who felt ridden by a lost soul, possibly a Japanese soldier, and swore he heard a voice whispering in his ear, "You shouldn't have come back." The Imbia battery, once a powerful gun emplacement, is now abandoned, amplifying the sense of lingering military despair. A haunting legacy of an island built on blood and defense. 7. Marsiling Bunkers. We descend into the muddy, vine-choked darkness of the Marsiling Bunkers. Built in the 1940s, this sprawling complex of underground tunnels was originally a Royal Air Force fuel reserve depot for the British. It was an essential logistics hub, designed to keep the war machine running. During the Japanese occupation, the enemy forces took over and expanded the tunnels, and according to dark local legend, may have used the deep recesses as a torture chamber. Following the war, the site was abandoned, allowing the jungle and its haunting reputation to take root, creating a perfect environment for the restless dead. The real-life encounters here are unnerving and often involve a feeling of overwhelming malice. Trespassers and ghost hunters speak of the bunkers being visited by the spirits of long-dead World War II soldiers and secret society gangsters. The air inside is frequently described as suddenly, dramatically cold, even on the hottest days. One of the most macabre finds has been evidence of dark rituals, including tiny figurines, red candles, and joss sticks left on ledges deep inside the tunnels. People have reported hearing disembodied voices and footsteps echoing down the long, pitch-black corridors, often accompanied by the terrifying sense that a malevolent entity is trying to follow them out of the black, muddy labyrinth. 6. Mount Pleasant Road. Our final stop in Part 1 takes us down the serene, tree-lined Mount Pleasant Road, home to elegant colonial-era black and white houses. These grand bungalows, built in the 1920s and 30s, were the prestigious residences for high-ranking officers, often from the police force, given the road's proximity to the old police depot. Before their haunted reputation, they represented the height of colonial prosperity and order. However, the road's beauty hides a grim connection. The area shares its landscape with the sprawling Bukit Brown Cemetery, one of Singapore's largest and oldest Chinese burial grounds. This close proximity, coupled with the age of the houses themselves, has made the street a magnet for spectral activity. The hauntings are often subtle but deeply unsettling. Drivers passing by have reported luminous white apparitions flitting among the trees, and a pervasive sense of dread. The most spine-tingling accounts come from the houses themselves. Residents have spoken of encountering the ghosts of former occupants who refuse to leave. These spirits are often seen as vague shadows or heard as the unexplained sounds of footsteps and whispered conversations in empty rooms. The combination of grand, empty architecture and the presence of a massive ancient cemetery has turned this picturesque heritage road into one of Singapore's most quietly yet profoundly haunted addresses. 5. Caldecott Broadcast Centre. We begin the final half of our countdown at the former Caldecott Broadcast Centre. Before its closure, this was the glittering hub of Singapore's media industry, home to television and radio broadcasting for decades. From the 1930s until its recent decommissioning, it was a place of innovation, bright lights, and countless human stories, both on and off screen. However, its history is deeply intertwined with tragedy. It sits on land that was formerly part of the Mount Pleasant Cemetery. Before the cameras rolled, this ground held centuries of the dead, mostly of Eurasian and Chinese descent. The bodies were exhumed, but the land's spiritual energy, or yin energy, was never fully cleansed. The hauntings intensified as the buildings began to empty, and the once bright studios fell silent. The real-life encounters here are deeply integrated with the building's function. Staff often reported seeing translucent figures in the edit suites, sometimes seemingly watching the monitors. The most chilling story is of a female ghost who appears near the makeup rooms or the central elevator. People working late have felt an unseen tugging on their clothes or heard the sound of a woman crying softly from an empty stairwell. The spirits here seem to be confused or perhaps angered by the removal of their resting place, turning the once vibrant center of media into a decaying, echoing vessel for the restless dead. 4. Bukit Timah railway tracks. At number 4, we follow the abandoned path of the Bukit Timah railway tracks. This stretch of railway, originally part of the Kereta Tanah Melayu (KTM) line that connected Singapore to Malaysia, operated for nearly a century until its closure in 2011. Before the tracks were laid, the surrounding area was mostly dense jungle and rubber plantations. It was a vital artery of commerce and travel, linking communities across the causeway. But for the workers who built and maintained it, and those who traveled on it, the tracks became a setting for numerous fatal accidents. The sharp, unforgiving turns and constant passage of heavy machinery led to many tragic deaths. Compounding the atmosphere, this area saw intense combat during the Battle of Singapore in World War II. The resulting hauntings are potent and strongly tied to the memory of sudden violent death. Visitors walking the now-defunct line report seeing the apparition of a headless engineer or railway worker roaming the tracks, lantern in hand, forever searching for his lost head. There are also frequent sightings of shadow people near the old bridges and underpasses. The most unique and frightening encounter is the phantom sound of a train rushing by at full speed, the rumbling so real that witnesses instinctively jump off the tracks, only to find nothing there but the quiet jungle and the abandoned rails. The tracks serve as a spiritual highway, forever replaying the trauma of the past. 3. Hillview Mansion. We arrive at the infamous Hillview Mansion, known chillingly as the Forbidden Hill House. Constructed in the 1950s, this massive, secluded bungalow was originally meant to be a luxury residence, possibly owned by a high-ranking military officer or businessman. It was built as a symbol of mid-century wealth and isolation, perched atop a lonely hill surrounded by jungle. The mansion's bright future was brutally cut short. Before it could be fully occupied, a mysterious and violent tragedy occurred. The exact details remain obscured, but the legend suggests a fire, a murder, or an unexplained sudden death. The property was abandoned shortly after, never completed or lived in, allowing decay and legend to set in. The hauntings here are arguably the most terrifying and aggressive in Singapore. The most famous spirit is that of a Eurasian woman who is said to have been killed in the house, often seen floating near the main balcony or the overgrown swimming pool. Trespassers report being greeted by an overwhelming, suffocating sense of intense fear and dread upon entering the property. Real encounters include hearing blood-curdling screams, the sound of a grand piano playing itself, and the terrifying sight of doors slamming shut behind them. The sheer isolation and the nature of its dark, unfinished history have made Hillview Mansion an active zone for powerful, possibly malevolent entities. 2. Tanglin Barracks. Our second most haunted location is the vast compound of the Tanglin Barracks, also known as Dempsey Hill today. Before its life as a trendy dining and lifestyle area, this was a massive British military base dating back to the late 1800s. It was the administrative and logistical heart of the British Far East Command, a place of strict order, colonial power, and rigid military life. During World War II, this history took a dark turn. The barracks were occupied by the Japanese, and later the building served as a hospital and execution grounds for both Allied and enemy forces. This conversion from barracks to a site of intense suffering and death deeply scarred the land. The ensuing hauntings are numerous and specific. Guards and maintenance workers have reported encounters with the spirits of colonial soldiers in full uniform, often seen marching silently through the old parade grounds or standing sentinel outside the abandoned buildings. In the old mess hall, which now houses restaurants, staff have reported inexplicable objects flying off shelves and the constant, unnerving sensation of being watched. One widely reported incident involves the appearance of a small, spectral dog that leads guards on a chase before vanishing into a solid wall, a restless military mascot that never left its post. 1. The Old Police Academy. We have reached the pinnacle of Singapore's hauntings, the Old Police Academy, OPA, at Thomson Road. Opened in 1929, OPA was the primary training ground for Singapore's police force for decades. Before its haunted reputation, it was a place of discipline, intense physical and mental training, and the preparation of future law enforcement leaders. It represented the authority and order of the state. The dark legacy of OPA stems from both its intense environment and its colonial past. Military and police institutions worldwide often generate high yin energy due to the trauma of training, stress, and past casualties. The most potent source of its haunting, however, is the alleged executions and torture that took place in the compound, particularly during the turmoil of the Japanese occupation. The hauntings reported here are constant and varied. Recruits and staff have repeatedly encountered the terrifying apparition of a British-era policeman in an old uniform, often seen staring out from high windows or walking the hallways. The most common real-life experience is the sudden, chilling sound of phantom shouting and drill commands echoing across the parade square late at night, often so clear it sounds like a full platoon is running through drills. The most iconic spectre is the Black Figure, a shadowy entity seen near the old parade square, said to be a malicious spirit that actively watches and follows those who trespass. The OPA's history of rigid discipline and hidden violence has created a spiritual vortex, making it Singapore's undisputed most haunted site. We've journeyed through forgotten barracks, silent studios and roads where the past refuses to rest. Every incident, every whisper, serves as a dark reminder that even the most modern city holds secrets buried deep beneath its surface. Which of these 10 locations gave you the worst chills? Tell us in the comments below. And if you've ever had a haunting encounter in Singapore, we want to hear your story. Don't let the spirits haunt our channel alone. Like this video, hit subscribe, and ring that bell to join us on our next terrifying investigation. Thank you for watching.